In this video, I'm going to walk you through the best self-storage softwares to automate your self-storage business. Because whether you're a single site operator or multi-facility owner, picking the right self-storage software is key to make your operation as profitable as possible. Now, when it comes to picking the right self-storage software, there's a few things that you need to consider. Of course, the cost is going to be right up there on top of the list. However, you also need to be aware of the different features available, the amount that you're going to be able to automate your business with the self-storage software that you pick. And then there's also the marketing functionality, because let's be honest, there's no point having all the bells and whistles on your self-storage software if you don't actually have an online presence that actually gets found. Because with the self-storage industry booming more than ever, people in every city and town all across the world are looking for self-storage. And if the self-storage software doesn't have the right marketing capabilities, people are going to find your competitors instead of you. And that's really where my experience comes in. I'm the founder of self-storagemarketingagency.com. So when I go through these self-storage softwares, of course, going to be talking about all the different features, but I'm also going to be talking about my experience working with hundreds of self-storage operators all across the world and actually diving in using their softwares to do their marketing, but also speaking to them and speaking to operators to learn what they do and don't like about the different softwares. So, getting straight into it, the first self storage software that I'm going to walk through, and arguably the best, is Storeganise. Storeganise is a relatively new kid on the block that is fast innovating and becoming one of the go to self storage providers in 40 plus countries. Now, Storeganise is a relatively newer business, which actually gives them a little bit of an advantage because they've listened to the pain points of people that use softwares like Sitelink, which we'll be touching upon later. They've learned what people do and don't like, and they've really made that a strength of theirs, adding in features that people actually want, removing the clutter, and making it an easy to use software. Now, one of the reasons that I actually put Storeganise at the top is they actually have an open API. And what the Open API allows you to do is connect it to softwares like Zapier to fully automate your self storage business. So, for example, as you can see here, this is an automation flow that I've set up for a client of mine in Australia that has 15 facilities to automatically follow up with their customers 1 week after they've moved in to ask them for a Google review. And being able to set up automations like this in order to help with self storage marketing is one of the reasons that I love Storeganise, as well as it being an easy to use software that I've used in order to fill up self storage businesses. Now, of course, on top of those automations and marketing capabilities, they also have built in online bookings, invoicing. That isn't an add on, it's all built in within the software. And it also has flexible pricing starting from around $1 a unit. Now, obviously, the con with using a software like Storeganise is they are a relatively new software provider. So you're not going to meet many other operators, especially in the US right now, that are using Storeganise, which I do always find helpful when you can network with other operators. For me, people in the marketing space that are using a software so you can share the best practice. Now, moving on to the second best self storage software on this list, and that is TenantInc. Now, TenantInc are a self-storage software provider that I often see picked by operators that have at least 10 facilities. It's often really commonly picked by REITs because it is an end-to-end self-storage software provider, and it also has this tenant data warehouse and scheduled reports, which is really helpful if you really want to deep dive into the financials of your self-storage business, which is obviously crucial for REITs that are looking to track the financial performance. On top of that, it also has enterprise functionality. So large operators that I've seen use this software that might have 20 locations, for example, you can have really granular permissions on the users that are using the software, which also makes it really good for those large operators. One thing with Tenant that I also think is quite cool is they also have Store Local. Store Local is essentially where you can sit under the Store Local brand. You still own your self storage facility, but you get to sit under Store Local with their operations in the box. And they also help you generate leads, which may be a really attractive option if you want to be part of and get the benefits of being connected to a bigger group. Now, because it is aimed at larger operators, TenantInc is on the more expensive side. It doesn't have the most user friendly UI, and they are primarily focused on the US. So if you're based outside of the US, I work with a lot of operators in Australia and Asia. That would be a reason in order to not go for TenantInc. Now, moving on to the third best self storage software that you should be considering, and that is Sitelink. Sitelink is the OG or the legacy software in the industry, and it's probably the most popular software, especially in the US. Now, because they've been around for so long, they've got such a long standing reputation, they've got a massive suite of tools support solutions that you can use with your self-storage business, which is naturally why so many people pick it. And as I mentioned before, I always think it's helpful when you can speak to other people using the same software to talk about best practices. And that's something that you're definitely going to get with Sitelink. On top of that, you're also able to manage the different lien requirements in different states. So if you're a larger operator with multi-facilities in different states, Sitelink could be the option for you. Now, we'll be honest, one of the challenges with Sitelink, because it is an older company that's been around for such a long time, their UI and UX, i.e., their usability, is not that great. And because they've got such a large ecosystem, often you are locked in with using the Sitelink and the Storable group. The Storable group is the company that owns Sitelink. And I've often found that leads to a lack of customization and also not the best support because they're such a big company that you're just going to be a little dot to them that maybe they don't care as much about when compared to some of the other software solutions I've mentioned in this video. Which actually leads really well onto the fourth best self-storage software, and that is Easy Storage Solutions. Now, Easy Storage Solutions is probably the best option here for single facility operators because they are really aimed at small operators. It doesn't have all the functionality, bells and whistles that you're going to get with some of the other softwares. However, it is really easy to use and it actually has really good support. Now, as you can see here, it has also been bought by Storable. So Storable is the same company that owns Sitelink. So they've recently been acquired. It's now called Storable Easy. And that's actually a trend that you're going to see across the self-storage industry quite a lot. Storable are buying a lot of companies that recently bought what is now Storable Easy. And again, hopefully that doesn't end up being a con for this software because when I've used it, I found it really easy to use. The support's been great. But again, when you're part of a larger organization, a big conglomerate, sometimes I found that some things do go out the window, such as support. And obviously, you're potentially going to be locked in with the Storable sort of group. And that is what I found with Easy Storage Solutions before, because they are aimed for smaller operators, there's less customization, and it is harder to automate your business. That being said, it is a great option for those starting out. And then last but not least, the fifth best self-storage software, in my opinion, from what I've used, is Cubby. Now, Cubby really has a modern, fresh SaaS look, software as a service that you're going to find with other softwares that you might use outside of the self-storage industry. And that's really a reason that I love Cubby. It's got a really easy to use user interface. It has built-in dynamic pricing. You can also manage all of your leads in here. So like with some of the other platforms that I've gone through, you sort of got that end-to-end customer life cycle in order to manage your self-storage business. And probably the thing that I really like about Cubby the most out of all the other softwares that I've used is that analytics. I just find the analytics really easy to use. And other softwares that I've used, you have to set up custom tracking. You have to sort of build your own analytics dashboard in Google Analytics. I've just found that Cubby is really easy to use and has a lot of the things that a self-storage software should have built into the box. As you can see here, you're actually able to view your LTV by marketing channel. So LTV, lifetime value. They've got the things built in that actually allows you in order to see how your business is performing, which for me coming from a marketing side of things is really important to make sure that our marketing campaigns are really efficient. And I just think with Cubby, they're so fast moving that I think they're going to be one of the biggest players in the next 5 years because they're innovating, they've got that fresh look, and they are only going to be improving over time. And one of the cons of Cubby, from my understanding, is they don't yet have an open API. So while they do have a lot of really nice features, if you want to actually connect Cubby with other softwares you use, maybe use an email marketing platform, maybe use like a text message platform. You're not actually able to do that yet with Cubby, which I'm sure is something that they're going to fix in the future. And again, similar with Tenant that I mentioned in the video, Cubby is aimed at US operators. I've actually heard of them turning away smaller operators as well. So if you're a smaller operator or you're based outside of the US, Cubby isn't going to be the option for you. It's probably best to look at some of the options that I mentioned earlier in the video. Now, just before we finish off this video, I do also want to give a shout out to Monument. I haven't actually used Monument yet. However, when I was conducting research for this video, Monument kept getting raised as one of the new self-storage operators on the block that is doing extremely, extremely well. So it's a notable shout out for them, which then rounds up our video of the 5 and maybe 6 best self-storage softwares in order to automate, scale, and make your self-storage businesses profitable. Of course, if you've got any comments, feel free to leave them below. I will also add a link to all of the self-storage softwares that I've gone through in the description. If you've got this far and you're a self-storage operator, I will also add my self-storage marketing guide in the description as well. That walks you through exactly what you need to do in order to fill up your self-storage business. So hopefully I'll see you in that video.